So today we'll look at some concepts of IoT and then concept of security. All right. So IoT is also an architecture, right? I mean, it's how embedded devices or or very small devices are going to be interconnect over internet. It's already happening, and in future we will see a lot more devices getting interconnected. Okay, and then another very important aspect of computer architecture is security. We touched upon some aspects of another related feature, which is called the availability or reliability. So today, a system that we design not only need to be very efficient by itself. Okay, it has a lot of performance requirements. Apart from performance requirement, it also has a high reliability requirement or availability requirement. And now, since devices are not standalone, or supercomputer of yesterday was a standalone machine and it only had extended terminals. Uh, but today, every device is going to be interconnected, right? So the world is totally distributed. Computing the world is totally distributed at this point in time. So then security becomes very important. So the definition of architecture in general involves performance, availability, reliability, and security. So today we'll look at IoT architecture and then see how to make it secure and what are the security issues. Okay. All right. So the quick question to you: what is IoT? Anyone knows about it? What is Internet of Things?
I think it is connecting through internet to other electronics or electrical appliances.
Okay. All
I'm
right.
not sure.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So you're right. So we'll look at definition of IoT, and then we'll see how anything that is on internet in general can be attacked. Okay, and what are the issues that world is facing today? So these are the containts that you see here. We'll not spend time over that, and then let's look at the first concept, which is threat or attack surface. Okay. All right. So first, let me pose to you a very simple scenario. Okay, you live in your home with your parents and your siblings, or maybe grandfather, grandmother, right? And that's all. And sometimes you get guests, your relatives, etc., or friends, etc., who come and live with you. Okay, uh, but would you ever invite a robber or thief to live with you? Obviously not. You will not share secret with him or her. And what do you do if the unwanted guest who's residing at your home, not really known to you, but possibly you're not bothered to know because invisible, is stealing everything from your home, right? Like your bank account details, your emails, messages, your transactions, your activities. Important activities that you are doing is also looking at it and then taking note of that. So question is that what would you do if there is some invisible thief or robber is sitting in your home and doing all that? Okay, obviously you don't want such a person, right? And in order to create security in your home, you do traditional things. And for example, you will have locks, you will have a locker inside where you put cash and valuables. You have so-called grills in your windows, etc. Have better doors, and all the valuables that you have at home is very limited, right? Like gold, silver, jewelry, cash, some electronics maybe. Okay, that's all you have. So basically, if a thief wants to enter, or robber who wants to enter your home, he can enter through only from limited places, right? I mean, for example, door, he can break the lock and get inside, or window, and so on and so forth. Okay, so these are the traditional thieves. I mean, so if you live in a small city or any Indian city or village, then who can be thief for you? Possibly somebody in neighborhood is watching you and know that you have valuables at home, right? So thieves are also local, right? And okay, and then these thieves are, if you look at these thieves, right? I mean, robbers or thieves, they do a lot of hard work to steal things from you, right? I mean, they plan, they come in night possibly, or uh, I mean, so it's not easy job for them. Okay, and you are smart also. I mean, you have a locker, etc. So thief can't steal. So his life is becoming difficult. Okay, and then these thieves, are this know that stealing physical assets from you is of very little value for them, and risk is very high. Then much easier for them is to clean up your whole bank account. Okay, or steal your credentials and use them whenever they want to, or sell those credentials. Okay, or record your personal conversation, right? I mean, you may be talking to your spouse, or someone, something you don't want anybody to listen to, or it may be very private conversation, and somebody may be recording that and selling it on gray market, okay, or dark web. So anybody, and that thief today can collect all your valuable, all your credentials, which are more important than few grams of gold. For example, your email address, home address, all kind of numbers like Aadhaar card number, passport number, etc., etc., and sell them on dark web. Why should one do that? Why and where this thief will reside now? This thief need not to be in your home alone, right? Okay, this thief can invade your home, but can be anywhere, virtual, right? So and then these thieves can sit in your home for very long time. So today you are surely not target of this local thief or physical thief that we have been seeing in the movies. And since job of thieves have been quite difficult, you can even find out few Indian movies, Bombay movies made on thieves, like Do Chor and something like that. Okay, so today that's all gone. I have not seen anybody stealing, at least in campus I live in. Nobody has. I have not heard of physical, you know, things have been stolen from home for many years, right? So now we all are targeted by cyber criminals all over the world. Okay, and this is not, and so now the target surface or threat area, is very different. It means that you are not exposed by windows or doors or locks, etc. You are exposed by lot of things that you hold in the form of digital assets, and these are all exposed to all criminals all over the world. Okay, so these cyber criminals are sitting anywhere in the world. It's not just doing thefts for pleasure. It's a corporatized. I mean, it is a corporates or companies are doing this job for you. It's very, very organized crime. Okay, and even the governments are involved, like North Korea. That's their business because they don't do any other thing. And of course, your friendly neighbors, both one on the left hand side of the country and also other one who is on the top, right? And they are all involved in cyber crimes. Okay, so much easier task for all thieves, criminals are to rob you fully. Why not? Rather stealing some cash from somewhere, why not clean up your bank account, or clean up your credit card limits? Okay, and local police can't do anything about it. And what I'm talking okay, what I'm talking really about is today we have all bots in your devices. Okay, uh, when we say bots, these are not friendly bots, these are malicious bots. They are collecting valuable information, they are sending them to their masters. Okay, these are kind of small thieves sitting in your devices, using your resources. They are using your computer hardware or internet connection, etc., and then sending all this information to their masters. Okay, of course, we know that these criminals are sitting in our devices and the bots. We know that India has large number of these bots. In one of the classes we discussed this. India now has, of course, third largest number of these bots uh, in the devices. Okay, so now what is the best place to steal information from you? Where should bot be? Where cyber criminal has maximum advantage putting bot in your device? What are those places? Of course, cyber criminals can put these bots in any device which is exposed to internet. Okay, but best for them is to put you know all this in your home router. Okay, so everything you are sending is passing through your home router. Even your mobile is connected through Wi-Fi, is finally data is going through your router. Okay, and if the router has that malware, okay, or the agent or bot, malicious bot, it can look at everything that you're doing. Suppose you are doing a transaction with a bank, and if you're not careful enough to use, say, HTTPS or encryption, right, then bot inside can see all that. In fact, many bots have also can they know how to actually extract information even from encrypted software. Okay, so now we have, that these bots are there all over. And then while you may think that if there is a bot in my, say, refrigerator, how does it matter to me? It may not matter, right? But this bot, you are actually the same as you're allowing somebody to sit in your home, and this bot may be then doing all kinds of criminal activities. Okay, so essentially your machine, your hardware, your internet is being used for some activities that may harm you or it may harm others. So you are also responsible for this criminal activities substance, right? Okay, so we know that these bots sit everywhere, and we know concept of bots, where bots are controlled by an external master, and and they are supposed to do some kind of malicious activities. All right, and these bots can be anywhere, right? And they can live and work, say for example, in mobile phones, laptops, iPads, tablets, routers, webcams, home security devices. Actually, your camera, which is supposed to provide you home security, can actually contain bot and can send all these videos to the master. Okay, it could also be in refrigerator, washing machines, ovens, cameras, cars, medical devices. For example, someone uses a pacemaker. Okay, pacemaker has a computing device, and then it can contain bot. Imagine the impact of having a bot in the pacemaker. Okay, so all this is going to cause lot of problem for us. Okay, so does it really matter? Anybody, does it matter to have bots in our devices?
Yes, sir, it is very dangerous.
is very dangerous, right? And instead of bot, and bot can in fact bring in other kind of malware. See, bot is not only to collect information. Okay, so it may collect, for example, your user ID, password, or whatever you do to the master. So let's assume if malicious software is in your mobile, it can do full transaction for you, right? Because now it has access to everything. I mean, even the SMS that comes for your PIN, or when you make a transaction from, say, for example, some bank, a bank will authenticate you, right? In order to authenticate, of course, you have to use user ID and password. That bot can always see, because when you're entering in a keypad, it can collect all information from keypad, right? So it knows user ID and password. Was the next thing to know. So suppose when you're sleeping in night, then this guy logs into your bank account, and bank will authenticate using sending some SMS, right, with your PIN. It will ask you to enter some security code. Okay, not necessarily PIN, but some one-time password. So the one-time password is also accessible to this bot, right? Because coming, and then can enter the one-time password and get into your bank and do the transfer, fund transfer. Okay, so we don't know the extent of damage a simple bot or simple, seemingly unharmful malware can do. Okay, so it matters to all of us, and it matters so much to us because all our savings can go in one day. And suppose your money is transferred to some criminal in North Korea, what do you do, right? So, or your total what do you call that? I mean, your credit card is used somewhere in North Korea. You can't do much, right? No international police will help you. Your money will go off from your account. Possibly you may try to get some claims from bank, and because bank security is not good, they will say, of course, we have sent you OTP, and then you responded back. Okay. So your device may be participating in a criminal activity called uh, DDoS. Uh, okay. Distributed denial of service. It means that now this bot seemingly, you never thought, for example, your door lock, which is electronic lock, or light bulb or refrigerator, which looks so simple, has enough computing power today to participate in any criminal activity. Like, and we know what is DDoS attack is, right? So all these you know bots sitting in devices, shown of course here is computer, but can be your webcam or router or whatever, and they can all participate in making for example, a bank site uh, unavailable for other people, right? Like WikiLeaks incident happened in 2010. So all the bots here will listen to the master. Okay, master will say, okay, do ping or do something else, or send information to this guy. So all will send together, millions of them, and then as a result, this guy will receive millions of messages and cannot do the job then, right? So this is called distributed denial of service attack. All right. So malware sitting in our router can do lot of harm which we are not aware of. Okay, so I'm asking, of course I have asked this question to you earlier. uh, every router has two passwords. Okay, and most of us are setting SSD password, which is Wi-Fi password, right? I mean Wi-Fi channel password, but we are not setting the device password. So every device, for example, refrigerator comes with new generation refrigerator, which is internet connected, comes with two passwords. One device password, each one of them has a device password, right? Not necessarily two, router will have two, but most of the devices which is connected to internet has a password. And if you don't set that password, it means that it remains default password, as it happens in our routers. Okay, nobody, I have asked this question to over 100 friends, and relatives and ask them, did you set, what kind of password you have set? They say for Wi-Fi channel, right? Even people who have computer science degree, they don't bother to know that every device has got to have an internet password, which is called device password. And what do they say? Companies just simply set user ID as something, admin for example, and the password is default password called password. Okay, then cyber criminals also know. I mean, for example, Airtel, go to Airtel site and see Airtel routers that are given to you, or BSNL router or Geo routers. They have default user ID and default password. Okay, so anybody now can get into, once they know your IP address, and that's not difficult to know, then one can get into your router very easily. Okay, so this is a great treat for cyber criminals, right? It's like, your petty thieves who are, around your house, and they see that door is always open. Okay, and they will see chance and then get into it. Okay, all right. So threats are not limited to only money, bank, and wealth that we have seen today, but the medical devices. Okay, like pacemakers, insulin pumps. It could be very, very dangerous. Most of the devices today are all getting internet connected. Why they are getting internet connected? Because it gives the power to the device. So essentially what we are doing is that we are looking at analog devices of yesterday, all these devices that were kind of standalone, and we are connecting them through internet because it becomes smart. Okay, it means that now there is a computing attached to the old device whose function is something else, and then we are changing the way it works, right? We are collecting information, we are actually giving information to it, uh, and so on, right? So, and then it helps in manageability, diagnostics, enhanceability. We can add new number of features. All that we can do with the help of software attached to old analog devices. Okay, refrigerator we can treat as an analog device and then connect a computer to that, and it will uh, control. This computer can of course monitor, control the function of the refrigerator, and help owner to control it from mobile phone somewhere, right? So now and if these devices are infected, which are actually more related to life of an individual, for example pacemaker or insulin pump, or maybe actual at the time of operation, then life is much more difficult. How about, for example, all nuclear power plants today are controlled by computers, right? It will have certain number of computers, and this cannot be standalone. And you can't say that I'm creating a separate protocol to connect this power plant or internals of power plant. Uh, Very, very specific network I'm creating, because creation of the network itself, new protocol itself, is very hard. Nobody does that, right? So most of the power plants also will be using Ethernet or type of Ethernet, which can do real-time connection. Will also use internet internally as well as externally. Okay, so the power plant will be controlled from some place possibly, or somebody may log in. It means there is a internet connectivity. And do you know that last year one of our nuclear power plant was cyber attacked? In 2019, the power plant which is in Tamil Nadu. Okay, and know that every day there are 30 power plant attacks. Okay, on power plants in general in the world. Okay, so if assume that a criminal sitting in, say, North Korea controls your power plant, nuclear power plant, what all person can do? So this is the level of threat that we see. And why is this happening? Because every device that we have today is becoming a computer. Okay, and connect a computer connected to that device, right? So they are becoming all smarter. Okay, for example, a car today, a modern car, right? If you buy a latest car, in fact, a car in India, I mean, I saw a few days back, says that internet inside. Okay, this car was from a Chinese company. Initially had, I think, British company. Okay, so car has now more than 20 computers inside. Okay, and running more than 100 million lines of code. Okay, it has LAN. Actually, it may have multiple LANs for reliability and connected to internet. Okay, so the most powerful computer that you may own tomorrow will not be on your laptop but in the car. Okay, today, I mean, most modern car, when you go to service station, they connect a laptop, diagnostics laptop, and then see what are the problems. Because, even engine oil, which you used to do earlier by dipping a, looking at how much oil is left out by dipping a, what do you call that, a probe inside, it's not anymore there, right, in modern cars. Okay, so in fact, your modern car can continuously tell you about a lot of parameters. In fact, it can send information to anybody. Okay, and when we have self-driving car, of course, is the highest level of automation that can happen. Okay, and imagine that your car today, you're going somewhere, and then your car is hijacked by criminals. Okay, what they can do is they can lock the doors of the car, shut off the engine. Okay, and then demand to you that transfer, say, 100,000 rupees to account, and then I will disable it. So this is a very simple scenario. In fact, it has happened that some hacker tried to hack the car, and they could switch on the radio and then played their own voice and all that. So a lot of evidence are there of this kind of hacking happening. But in future, it will be very simple to hack when there's so many machines, computers connected to internet. Okay. So now, and much more dangerous things can happen. Hacker can disable your car brakes. Okay, so now there's a great advantage of having embedded systems interconnected, or different parts of a system which were analog standalone system, having a computer connected to that, because it really helps us in management, control, and functionality. But at the same time, it provides a great, it's very, very dangerous things to have if it's not really secure. Okay, all right, so any question up to this point? Any question? Okay, all right, so let's move ahead. Now, still we have not discussed what IoT is, right? But we are moving towards that, and what security is, right? So now everything is becoming smarter. And something the smartest that we have today is your mobile phone. So we can say, see, mobile phone is a misnomer today. If you call a mobile phone is not something that we are using the device most of the time. It's a powerful computer sitting in our home, right, in our hands. It does not have one or two processors. It's a multi-processor, multi-core, right? It has 8 core or even 16 core microprocessors. Okay, and it's not only for making a phone call. In fact, most of the time we don't make a phone call, right? We do a lot of other stuff, right? We do shoot video, make films, do transactions. All my internet transaction, banking transactions happen over phone or mobile phone, which is actually a computer, right? We can do video calls, like many of you must be using your mobile phone today, play music, and a lot of other things. I mean, that today we have thousands of applications, and each can do very unique thing, right? So we have very big computer in our hand, bigger than supercomputers of it is, and it has over 15 million lines of code. It's a huge amount of code. Okay, so now the question is that once you have such a big huge code size and you are adding a small code in every iteration of that, does it remain very, very secure and reliable? Surely not. It's, suppose you create 1,000 line program and add a feature to that, there's another, say, 50 lines, 100 lines. Now that creates number of test cases multiple times. It's not that just 100 extra lines you code a test that's sufficient. So more and more features we are adding, and we are adding that over old phone, old code that was created, say, many years back. So that is creating lot of vulnerabilities. Okay, and because it's impossible to test any software fully. It's, in order to, suppose you write a code which is 10,000 lines, number of test cases can go into thousands, 10,000s. And even now you are not sure each and every way we have tested the software, right? There's a complexity because, everyone writes software differently, and then there are a lot of functions, there are a lot of combinations of functions, lot of input types that can be given, and that combination becomes so big that it's impossible to test most of the complex software fully. And there's a big challenge. That's the reason in corporates what you see is that number of testers is usually 40% of number of developers. Ideally it should be more than number of developers, but every company wants to create software with low cost. Okay, and then always testing is not fully done. All right. And as a result of that, now since number of applications are going up, number of opportunities for cyber criminals also going up. You can see number of mobile malware is almost touching 30 million, or maybe now 40 million mobile malwares are there, right? Even in, you go to Google's App Store or Apple's App Store or Google's whatever you call it, to download applications, and there is a good probability that even in those stores there are applications which have malware. And in fact, very often Google and Apple keeps announcing that they have deleted certain number of applications because they had malware, right? So there's very likelihood that your mobile, one of the application mobile, will have some kind of malware. Okay, now the question is that everything is becoming computer. Your mobile phone is no longer a mobile phone but a computer, powerful computer. Aeroplane is not aeroplane anymore. What it does, what actually it is hundreds of computers connected together and that fly. The functionality of flying is now associated with the computing, because most of the functions of aeroplane, modern aeroplane, is done by computers. It's no longer a person controls that, right? In fact, a pilot goes to sleep in autopilot mode, it will even land the aeroplane. So we can say aeroplane is a computer that flies and also carry people and goods. Refrigerator is something, is a computer that cools things down. Microwave one is a computer that heats things up, and so on and so forth, right? Okay, so now things are becoming almost every device you are today that you have is going to get connected to, they will have a computing in order to make it smart, and then is going to get connected to internet. Okay, and that brings in the concept of machine to machine communication. So today the internet for us is nothing but internet connection between us and, say, some server, okay, or browsing or some internet transactions, okay. So but that is very limited view of internet that we have today, and in future we see that number of connections that are going to go up, which will be billions of computers, billions of connections, is going very significantly. So after sometimes about 2023 we'll have almost like 14.7 billion connections, and these are going to be between machine and machine. Okay, like your car is communicating with your garage or machine in a garage. Okay, or your car is communicating with next petrol bunk that I am coming to take some fuel, or maybe change the battery or whatever, right? Okay, So this is, so now machine will be the maximum user of internet in future, right? And that's what we call a machine to machine communication. So so in general, now we come to the concept of IoT. So IoT lets people process and data things to connect to each other. So we'll say Internet of Things is nothing but embedded devices where, or analog devices which are originally there, like a factory, for example, or lathe machine originally, and then now we connect a computer to that to make it smarter, and then interconnected for communication with other entities, right? So, all right, and this interconnection is happening over internet. Okay, we'll come to internet, right, and a little later, right? So now that's the now now if your camera, video camera that's at home for home security is communicating to say police station or somewhere, right? Then there's a huge danger that it can be hacked and can be misused, all right, without you knowing. So then we need to provide security. Okay, so very soon most of the devices in the world will have internet connectivity through. So, and that's whole system wherein devices are connected to internet for interconnection or for enhanced functionality, we call it Internet of Things. So it will have obviously if there is analog device connected to a computer, say for example your home, uh, suppose you have a home and that whose temperature is to be controlled. Okay, so the temperature control or climate control in a home will have some sensors, and that will sense what is the temperature inside, what's the humidity inside, and so on, right? So these are the devices which will give you digital information after sensing, right? So we have sensor to collect information, like a smart thermostat or a street or highway sensor or a smart force motion sensor or GPS location sensors. And then there can be industrial sensor which can, or within car there can be sensors which look at the speed and brakes and all that, right? So they are a sensing device, and then there are connected to that is processor. Okay, and that will store and manipulate data. Of course, this data with this coming may be analog, convert into digital form, and this data will be manipulated, right? Otherwise there's no use of computer. Okay, and then this data may also go to cloud, and computing can happen in cloud, not necessarily in the IoT device itself, right? IoT may be connected to cloud, and cloud will do some computation and send the results back. And then the results that we are getting either to local computation or from cloud will actuate the actuators, right? For example, you sense the temperature is in the car is at 30 degrees, right? And then uh, you have said that your comfortable temperature for you is 25 degrees, then it will actuate your AC or sensors. So actuator will actually change the temperature of air conditioning unit. And if cars see some danger coming, cameras will observe, then it will apply a brake. So all those things will happen from the data that comes from sensor. Then computation manipulation will happen, and the results will be fed back to say actuators, and then that will actuate again the analog devices and so on, right? And then we have sensors. Okay, and then we have actuators, and then we have computing that's connected to both, right? And then of course last thing that we'll have is internet or network. Whatever network you have, you may have some kind of low end wireless network, and there are a lot of networks protocols have been designed for IoT. Okay, but ultimately these are link level protocols that have been designed, and there has to be internet that will sit on that will interconnect those small networks or underneath network to some entity at the end, maybe server or maybe the master. Okay, So in general, these IoT devices, these millions of devices that are sitting in a car and other places, are very small in nature, and they are power constrained usually. Okay, because if they are not connected to the main power or electricity supply, then the power consumption of the power will come from battery, etc. Right? So the whole the sensors, actuators, all these are designed in such a way that they are low power devices, right? And then they are memory constrained because you can't afford to have very huge amount of memory with every IoT device. So as a result of that, these are easy to hack, very easy to hack. Okay. So the question you may ask is, why is it easy to hack? The first thing is that huge attack surface or threat surface, right? We use this terminology in security, right? It means now your device is not only exposed to you, but exposed to all over world because it's over internet. So cyber criminals have choice where to attack. Whether you if you have 100 computers inside your car, then and more than one internet connections, right? Then it can decide where to attack. It will look at the weakest link in the whole system and attack there, right? So thieves or cyber criminals always have asymmetric advantage. For example, in IIT Goa, your campus, your director decides that there should not be any intruder inside, unwanted person. So security has to be good. What all he can do? He can put a security guard in the main gate, but he can't put security guard all around the campus, which is few kilometers long. Okay, so now thief has choice not to come from the main gate. Why should it come from main gate? Can jump the fence somewhere. So thieves always have a greater advantage because it can attack from anywhere. Where people are securing have much bigger tasks because they don't know from where thief will attack. Okay, and they can't secure the whole border. Okay, so thieves always have advantage to find out where to attack because if huge the surface attack, then cyber criminals have bigger more choices where to attack. All right, any question up to this point? Are you fine? Are you there?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
All right, so let's move ahead, right? So now let's see what all somebody can attack, right? What are the attack scenarios? So what are the steps in cyber attack, right? So first thing first, a typical cyber criminal will do is to gather information. For example, if surface attack surface is huge, then the cyber criminal will analyze where to attack, right? Where person can attack. So it's not so normally cyber attacks require a lot of planning, okay, and then identifying targets, which place, for example, in the whole boundary of your campus, what will be the best place to get into so that nobody will notice it, right? So, and then what to attack, where to attack. Okay, and in order to do that, there's a lot of specific information needs to be collected. Okay, so most of the attacks are which happens in organization are very planned attacks. So for example, recently you would have heard about attack on Big Basket. Okay, so any one of us who have used Big Basket, our data is available in dark web. Anybody who pays $40,000 can buy the data of all of us, right? Which include user ID, email ID, password. Password, of course, will be hash password, but a lot of other information, right? I mean, these companies also sometimes have PAN information, then my home address, my mobile phone, and then possibly also my IP address. May not be IP address, but a lot of other information that's relevant to me. Also, what I have bought, how much I bought, all this information is available. So by hacking, all this information is available to cyber criminals. It's left to them how do they want to use it. So one scenario could be if I have used the same user. See, user ID usually is your Gmail ID. For me, at least, is Gmail ID. And if I am using the same password in any other place, say for example in Google, in general Google password, or maybe some other place, then the cyber criminals know that what all you have been using, or they can get this information, or then they attempt to break into all those sites. If you have used the same password in your bank, then some criminals at least have moved one step forward, right, towards breaking your account. So all these attacks happen over a lot of planning and a lot of information collection, and then they decide what to attack, how to attack, and so on, right? So that requires a lot of information gathering, and then look at where the weakness is, exploiting vulnerabilities, and then finding out where to enter. So compromising network, okay, then taking control of the device. Like, I mean, if your router is doing taking most of the command from the master somewhere else, or criminal master, then your device is actually a puppet in the hand of somebody else, right? And the remote access is the next step. So now I'm telling you scenarios that are applicable in many threat scenarios, right? Threat attacks. Okay. And then device is compromised, right? Now what, once your device is compromised, it means that now cyber criminal sitting in some countries somewhere can put the more and more malware into your system. Okay. Say for example, a very simple scenario that happens is a ransomware. They will encrypt your whole hard disk and then say that, yeah, you can decrypt it, we'll give you the key of decryption if you give me money. Okay. And this happens very, very often, right? And it happens to ordinary people like us also, right? If my hard disk is encrypted and has a lot of material, and person asks, say, 10,000 rupees, then maybe I will think it's reasonable for me to give 10,000, but my contents are back. So if this happens to a bank, for example, or a hotel chain, then they can ask for millions of dollars, right? Because bank will never want to announce that accounts have been encrypted. All account information is encrypted, right? So of course banks have other methods of safeguard, but in general I'm telling you a scenario. All right. Okay, so and then of course last is updating system with modified malware or firmware. All right. Okay. Uh, Now something is also called backdoor installation. Backdoor is something, so every company or every organization or device has a backdoor. So you see that most of the security things happen only at the main gate. If you come from main gate from your campus and the security guard thinks that you are not the right person, will say, okay, don't come from inside. Even in the comm science department, the security guard will look at you suspiciously, right? But if you enter from the back side, there is nobody out there, right? So most of the, I mean, there of course there are a lot of companies that help other companies to secure themselves when they use social engineering. So what do they do is that, so there is always, every company has some smokers, and they go out from the back door for smoking. And then if you pose as a smoker and create a fake ID, you can enter any company, right? This experiment has been done. Anyway, so backdoor is always there in the system, and devices also has a backdoor. Like, for example, some user ID and password is created in, for example, your laptop or mobile for say the companies that have created the device to easily to access that without your knowledge. Okay, so most of the devices also has a backdoor built into that. Say for example, and sometimes government wants to take charge of that backdoor. So there has been a case between Apple and the government in US that they wanted to know what is Apple's backdoor. Okay, and they refused to give backdoor numbers, right? So once somebody has a backdoor information, then they can directly get into your system. So anyway, so these are the possible, if cyber criminals come to know about the backdoors in your device, then they can simply get into the device, right, and create any kind of threat. All right, and then there are a lot of things which right, that can create threat. For example, you can have trap or backdoors that we discussed just now. We can have logic bomb kind of thing, that if you don't pay me $1,000, then your all your hard disk will be encrypted on certain date. So already that software is there to encrypt. So that kind of logic bombs are also there, right? Or that will explode on a particular date, particular time. Trojan horses are something that will act as a non-malicious, nice software which you download, are actually are basically malware. Okay. Then botnet we have already discussed. Then viruses, worms. Difference between virus and worms is that if viruses they ride on something else, right? Like coronavirus, they will not come to you at home if you are sitting alone. It will come through somebody who is visiting you, right? So there is a carrier. While worms take they move by themselves, right? So for example, they take help of internet and go from one machine to another machine. APTs are the plant attacks, right? Like we discussed just now in case of uh, a company that supplies goods to anybody else, right? uh, uh, Similarly, we can have rootkit where OS routines are changed by themselves, right? I mean, so if you, rather than changing app and then get into then OS, and those privileged areas you put your software, right? Then spyware, ransomware, and adware, these are the very common type of threats. And other set of threats are, like if you want to disable somebody's mobile phone, then use jamming. Ultra sensor spoofing. Software can have bugs, right? You exploit that. Cloud can have problems. You can use phishing mechanism, right? You post to be good banking site, and then somehow user comes to that, then steal all the information. uh, IoT protocols are very simple. You can hijack them, man in the middle attack, and so on, right? So your devices are not designed to be secure. Why? First thing is, security requires money. Okay. um, all right, it means that we need to secure both hardware and software. Okay. And okay, question is that why companies are not doing it? Because you are not asking it. Okay, as a user, have you ever bought any device which says I am more secure? Have you even looked at the features, security features? You buy routers, right? The router I have bought has VPN built into it, right? And paid little extra money. And it has much more. It allows me to run some software, right? Some this virus detection software. Okay, but it costed me another say 3,000 more. But there are very few of us, very few users who actually demand security. Okay, all of us are looking at features, right? When you buy a mobile phone, you never look at whether it can provide hardware encryption. In fact, the company that was doing hardware encryption, my company where I worked in, Nokia, failed miserably because nobody bothered about. Nobody really wants to look into security features today. Okay, so as a result of that, so almost all users want inexpensive things. We want a lot of features into cheaper devices. Okay, we'll look at whether my phone comes within 15,000 rupees, and we are not bothered to see whether it is secure or not. So security is often a afterthought. Okay, once our laptop or my device is hacked, then I will think, okay, let me have some software around it. And designing and developing secure software is expensive. I have worked in a company, or I have rather I managed a company that was developing routing software. And my 20 years of experience in this and many other companies, never ever I have heard any feature or any requirement of that protocol, etc., related to security. So never ever I have seen that let's also make this software secure, or maybe buffer overflow problem should not be there. None of that, right? So it is not a requirement for companies. Okay, and it is very difficult also when you have 15 million lines of code and you are adding another 5,000 to that. How do you ensure that everything is secure? Okay, and code size is continuously increasing from 5 million. Earlier 10 years back it was 2-3 million. Now it's 15 million lines of code in ordinary phones. Modern car has more than 100 million lines of code. How to make it secure? It's very difficult, and these are software is all old, developed 10 years back, okay, or 15 years back, and we are reusing it. Okay, so making fully secure software is extremely expensive. Okay, and that's the reason most of the companies don't want to spend money on that, because people are not ready to pay for that. And the second time, there is always a release time, right? In companies, every the release target date or release time is all fixed. If for example mobile phones don't come up with the new versions every 3, 4, 6 months, then nobody will buy them, right? Because we always look for something new and with more features. So companies have very little incentive to create secure devices. All right, so these are the points that we have discussed. And then most of these analog devices that we have discussed, like for example your pacemaker may cost whatever, say 20,000 rupees. The computing in that may be just 200, say for example 2,000 rupees. Okay, so it's a small processor and so on, developed by small companies. They may not know what is secure software at all is, right? So it's very, very hard for anybody to develop secure software. So that is the reason most of the IoT devices, which are available in millions, because every device is making smart device, there is no way for them to make secure. Or let's assume initially it is not some secure, and then you want to make it more secure, then there is no way to patch the software, or new software with bug fixes can be applied to that. That's called patching. Okay, there is no way today to patch them up, right? Like your mobile phones, if you set it properly, then it will update the software, right? So many embedded devices have nothing to do. And then as things are becoming more complex, it's becoming less and less secure. So complexity is in general enemy of the security. Okay, all right, so another 10 minutes will close. I will take 5 extra minutes today, because this presentation is actually for hour and a half. So internet is the one that connects number of computers or networks. So it's interconnects number of computers, so number of networks. Okay, so there is underneath network, it means, right? Internet, all because internet provides what? It provides format of IP packet, and it provides routing information. These are the two main things, right? So, and underneath could be that carries internet data, could be Ethernet, Wi-Fi, GSM, cable TV, or whatever, or even various networks that have lower level networks that have come up for IoT. Okay, and what internet carries in general, we carry data in the form of voice, video, or movies, right? All right. So what network is internet is designed for? Internet came out of university. It is designed for flexibility. Whether you have, whether there is a huge delay between two endpoints, it has small bandwidth, 1 kilobits per second to 100 gigabits packet loss. You can have 90% packet loss, or 90% data is lost in between. Even then, internet will work, right? It's for flexibility of it can work over any kind of medium, and it can connect any kind of endpoints like sensors, cell phones, data center, and run any kind of application. So it's meant for flexibility. Okay, because if you see the goals of internet when it was designed to connect different networks, scaling, failure tolerance. It means that if something fails, it can reroute the software, the packets, and wide variety of application, but there's no goal for secure communication. All right, so then, and we have seen this diagram, there's nothing about security at all. Then how to bring in security then? Okay, how to fit into the security into a network? Security can fit only into either you make sure routing is correct. So basic software does not provide security. So now you have to put some features on top of existing ones, right? And most of the security today happens at the endpoint. So it is your responsibility to have firewall. It's your responsibility to run TLS or HTTPS. Okay. So for example, internet security, we have IPsec or SSL or TLS. Okay. And then this feature is used, and then we create HTTPS. Okay, for secured communication. All right. So now another, give me 10 minutes, we'll close it. Okay. So IoT security techniques are endpoint securities. I mean, usually use say antivirus, anti-malware, firewalls, intrusion prevention system, and so on in your laptop or end devices. Okay, and then use security protocols like IPsec, TLS, WPA, HTTPS, VPN, tunneling, etc. Although protocols like TLS is extremely difficult to run because a lot of computation is difficult to run on embedded devices of IoT kind. Right? Then we need authenticate. Actually, I am sending information to somebody. Suppose I am sending an email to you, then you should make sure that it's coming from me, not from enemy, right? So this concept, digital certificates, biometrics, two-factor authentication. Then IoT encryption is very important concept. Before sending anything, you encrypt it, another render can decrypt it. So there are two algorithms, symmetric algorithm, and then we have asymmetric algorithm, which is all called public key encryption. Okay, and then of course being aware of latest IoT threats, regular maintenance, because companies find out, that there is a weakness in their software, so they send patches. That's the reason your OS and whatever you are using needs to be continuously updated. So cyber hackers generally look for systems which have not been updated, right? Use a strong password. All of us know that. Don't use same password in multiple accounts. Change password frequently. Every 3 months you need to change password, because big baskets password would have been cracked by now. So your user ID and password is known to cyber criminals. Okay, and still in the big basket you are using same user ID, then cyber criminals can use it and do whatever they can create order in your name and send it to them. Okay, you can't do anything out of it, right? So money, what is there in their wallet, will be taken off. Okay, similarly, you set the Wi-Fi password. Make sure that you do that. Updates device software frequently. Uh, Internal security. So I advise all of you to use some kind of security suite. There are a lot of companies that are selling it, and some cost as less as 500 rupees. And never use, again I'm repeating, never use spurious software or pirated software, right? That's the biggest threat. Maybe the cyber criminals have provided this software. Use VPN, use HTTPS. Don't use malicious websites, right? If you go to malicious websites, they will send some virus to your machine or some malware, and it's extremely difficult. Don't install codec without until you're sure it comes from original. Okay, and so on. Okay, and then possibly you need to disable the old protocol, the FTP and telnets. None of the new software use these techniques, right? All right. And then don't leave your sensitive information on your laptop. For example, username, password. Many people, create password file on some file. They write down in Word file or maybe XML file, or Excel file, and put this in Google Drive or laptop, right? So if your machine is hacked, then obviously cyber criminals are looking for all this. They also know that what you do. Okay, so never do that. So never keep your personal information. I mean, many of you I know have kept your personal information in Facebook. See, your name is okay, but why should you provide your birth date there? Okay, your address, what is the need? Your photo. Just a minute. Hello? Yeah. Okay, all right. So that's all. That's all about this seminar, this talk. Okay, and there are a number of ways to protect ourselves. So I have written it there, right? So a few more are there. Okay, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Sir,
sir.
Yeah.
so what do you think about the security of password managers, popular password managers like
See, I
LastPass?
personally don't use it. Simple reason for I in fact use my hand notebook to write it down, because there are multiple threads along with that, right? I mean, though companies say that password manager is a good thing, it's good thing for very novice user, right, who knows nothing. But that itself is a thing, because that is also protected by what, a password.
Yes, sir.
So it's it's better than having nothing, but I prefer not to use it, and maybe my personal choice. Okay,
Okay, sir.
any other question? Because I have tried to finish it very quickly to give you idea about IoT in general, because it's very often asked in interviews, what is IoT in general? Okay, and then you would have also got some idea about some aspects of security. Okay, security is very wide area. Possibly some of you may take up this course next semester if I teach. But it's a very interesting and important subject today, because every day in newspaper you'll find one news about some cyber activity, cyber threat, or cyber crime happening somewhere or other. Even today I found two places uh, cyber threat happened. Any question, please? Any question? Okay, then thank you very much. Please go through the slides all over again and let me know if you don't understand anything. All right. Thank you.